Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, those who are here in person and those who are joining us virtually. I am Jennifer Bryant. I'm the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, and I'm happy to be here today with the County Executive as he releases his FY23-28 Capital Improvements Program and FY23 budget. Just a brief overview of the difference between the operating budget and the capital budget. We'd like to think of the operating budget as the budget that supports all of the programs that the county delivers to its residents. And the capital budget as the budget that supplies the facilities in which those programs are carried out. And not just the facilities, but the infrastructure in which residents are able to access employment centers, centers of education, entertainment, and all other services that the county offers. I'd like to acknowledge some key folks who have helped us put together this budget, but first would like to acknowledge Council President Gabe Albornoz and Council Vice President Mr. Evan Glass, and all of the elected officials on the County Council, the County Executive, the Chief Administrative Officer, and our Montgomery County State Delegation. Today, we are glad to present to you a budget that had a unique process this year. And one of the primary focuses of our process in reviewing the budget was applying a racial equity lens to every project that was reviewed and every project that you see in the capital improvements program. We also applied a climate change lens to every project. These, the analysis behind these two types of views into the budget help us to give the executive a more clear picture of what impacts these projects, and as they move forward, will have on the communities that surround us and the communities in need. So with those specific lenses, we were able to determine in some cases where residents would be negatively impacted, who is literally at the table when putting together these projects and residential input. And this is the first full CIP in which we were able to apply these lenses to the capital projects in which we recommended to the executive, and that are part of his recommendations to the county council. I will I'm not going to hold up this briefing any longer. I am going to introduce to you, or would like to introduce to you, County Executive Marc Elrich, who will go through his presentation on the budget. Thank you.
So it's good to be back, and I've successfully recovered from my little COVID bout, and it's good timing to be back here now and be able to talk about the budget that we've put together. I want to start with a quote. The quote goes, "We believe Montgomery County's very strong local economy and demonstrated resilience to economic cycles, in addition to a very strong management team, which we expect will continue to make necessary adjustments to maintain structural balance, are all factors that provide rating stability. We begin with these strengths. We believe these strengths will help mitigate the impact of the pandemic on the county's overall financial profile." This commentary comes from a bond rating agency, which reflects the strength of the county, which we've been able to maintain through COVID. Standard & Poor wrote this last year when they gave Montgomery County a AAA bond rating for the 46th consecutive year. In fact, Montgomery County is one of only 50 counties in this nation with AAA bond ratings from all three credit agencies. Being AAA bond rated from all three credit agencies year after year is a feat that we take for granted, but it is no small feat. It allows us to get the best return on our money in the CIP, which helps our community and helps our residents. As I release my second full CIP, I'm proud of my administration's achievements, which will now allow us to leverage more state aid for school construction, address climate change, and promote economic development through substantial transportation investments. With increased investments in our school, affordable housing, early child care centers for our youngest children, facilities to address barriers to residents' well-being, and maintenance of core infrastructure. This CIP strengthens the resilience of county government, our local economy, and the residents we serve. This is the first full Montgomery County CIP budget recommendations that have been developed under an equity lens framework and includes a major effort to address climate change, reduce our greenhouse gas footprint, and improve resiliency. I'll discuss some of these in detail as we go through these points. So I want to talk first about some of the challenges we've been dealing with. Obviously, we've had to deal with 2 years of COVID. It'll certainly still be with us on the 2-year anniversary. We've dealt with multiple declared states of emergency in Maryland since March of 2020. Almost 1,800 lives have been lost in this county, and over 143,000 cases of COVID-19 have occurred in the county. Lack of clarity on likely MCPS state aid, coupled with very optimistic prior approved assumptions about state aid, are one of the uncertainties that we're dealing with. Spending affordability guideline constraints have limited our ability to fully fund capital projects over the years. Skilled labor shortages and supply chain disruptions make it harder to deliver services. And the county is no different than the rest of the country. We continue to deal with labor shortages, with the epidemic of people retiring, as well as the difficulty of hiring people to bring them back to work. So we, like everybody else, are dealing with this new labor market. And high inflation and cost increases as a result of worldwide shortages and labor market pressures have increased the cost of some of the projects. One of the reasons that we're asking the state to look at their surplus to help fund the school budget is that school construction costs are up 30% or more. We're not able to build, nor is any other jurisdiction able to build the projects that we had put in previous budgets based on the assumptions that were current at that time. And one of the best uses we think of some of the state budget surplus would be to make all counties whole as they try to deal with the increase in costs due to the supply shortages and supply chain challenges. The total capital investments in this budget exceed $5 billion over a 6-year period, $740 million over the prior CIP. $1.8 billion is from Montgomery County Public School capital projects over the 6-year period, 55 million more than was actually requested by the school board, which, if this is approved, would result in the largest capital budget ever for schools. $327.1 million is going from Montgomery College projects, which is a 15.1% increase over the prior budget. $408.4 million are for the beginnings of the true bus rapid transit projects, and to enhance the beginning of the ones we have now. $1.463 million goes for affordable housing projects. $254.5 million goes to Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission projects, a 6.2 increase over the prior budget. And we continue White Oak and White Flint redevelopment with private and public partnerships. This is also the first budget, as was noted, where we've applied an equity lens to the full CIP. We prioritize projects that are serving the Washington Council of Governments' equity emphasis areas. We sought to limit negative impacts of fiscal delays or reductions on projects serving equity emphasis areas. We're considering population demographics that tend to be served by different types of facilities. We've developed the CIP budget equity tool, manual and training materials for staff to make sure that racial equity considerations are incorporated in each step of the budget development process. And we've developed new mapping capabilities to visualize potential equity impacts. Public schools, this budget is the largest capital budget, will be the largest capital budget ever for Montgomery County Public Schools if it's approved. $1.8 billion over 6 years, 55.3 million more than MCPS requested. $203.6 million or a 12.5% increase in the school construction budget. Construction and renovation of 28 schools is planned, 15 elementary, 5 middle, and 8 high schools have been requested. This budget includes investments in a new early childhood center on Watkins Mills High School campus, plus planning funds to expand these centers throughout the county. It includes funds to add a school-based health center and linkages to learning center to the Joanne Lullick Elementary School. It includes increased funds for child care center renovation projects and assumes $530.6 million in state aid with prevailing wage costs. The inclusion of prevailing wage costs, which contributes to part of our increase in spending, actually brings back more money from the state. And after years of discussion, the school system has agreed that the money we spend will actually result in a greater increase in state funding coming to the county, which will enable us to continue the pace we need to continue in order to provide the school system with the facilities that they need. Montgomery College gets a $327.1 million increase over the 6-year period. $442.9 million, or 15.1% increase over the prior budget. $500,000 goes to support the development of a new East County Montgomery College campus, which is not only important for the education in this county, but it's a major equity achievement that we proposed and started working on several years ago. Funding will be used to expedite the Tacoma Park, Silver Spring, and Rockville library improvements. It's going to provide construction funding for the Germantown Student Services Center, and it provides funds for planning, maintenance, and additional IT projects. On the mass transit front, we are making major investments. $394 million will go to bus rapid transit projects along Maryland 355 and Veers Mill Road. Construction of BRT route along 355 from Rockville to Germantown will be part of this project to extend fast, high-capacity transit for communities not served by Metro Rail, with additional funding for designing the remaining portions that are from Rockville to Bethesda and from Germantown to Clarksburg. It accelerates construction of the bicycle pedestrian priority area improvement projects along Veers Mill Road and Randolph Road with linkages to the Veers Mill BRT. And it includes funding for bus priority programs to implement low-cost but high-impact modifications that can improve existing bus service. On the climate change and environmental sustainability front, again, there's a lot to be happy about. Included in this budget is $1.29 billion for projects that help address climate change, adding $653 million in funding for new projects or expansions of existing projects that reduce greenhouse gases, increase resilience, or adapt to climate change. $655 million of those dollars go to mass transit improvements. $268 million goes for pedestrian and bicycle improvements to encourage active modes of transportation. $193 million goes to making county and agency buildings more energy efficient. And $171 million goes to improving county resilience to extreme weather events through stormwater management and stream protection. Additionally, it includes funding to transition the ride-on bus fleet to zero-emission vehicles, $40 million in 23 and in 24. Includes funding to achieve a net zero status for the new White Flint Fire Station, the 6th District Police Station, and the Holiday Park Senior Center. And it includes additional improvements at the Kennedy Shriver Aquatic Center to achieve the highest possible efficiency for an aquatic center. And a request for proposals will be issued for solar generation installations on the rooftops of several parking garages in Silver Spring. We have continued capital investments through power purchase agreements to expand renewable energy systems and microgrids. And these are important because we've been able to make some of these projects work in a way where we are able to pay for the costs of the project through the energy savings that the projects generate. And additionally, we're doing a full recycling center upgrade, and proposals for that upgrade are actually coming into the county this month. On affordable housing, we're adding $132 million for affordable housing acquisition and preservation investments over the next 6 years, $22 million in each year. In conjunction with that, there is a $14.8 million supplemental, which will bring our funding to over $36 million over the next 18 months to support affordable housing projects. Funds to plan and acquire and renovate a building to provide permanent and affordable living quarters for very low income households is included in this budget. We've added $6 million to adjust funding for the Affordable Housing Opportunity Fund project, which will make a $20 million total. We're funding the HSC project at Elizabeth Square to provide storm and sewer and storm line improvements that are required. And we've added $7.5 million for HSC for unit maintenance. And we continue to expand our broadband infrastructure to 8,000 more units in affordable housing developments through Ultra Montgomery. And that's just what's in this budget. We continue to work with the state to identify additional funds so we can expand these programs even further. In additional infrastructure investments, we've increased investments for the Monocacy Road Bridge deck replacement, road resurfacing, parking facility renovations, storm drains, and culverts. Many of our storm drains and culverts have had bad experiences in the as a result of many of the severe storms that we've experienced, and we are having to make more improvements as well as upgrade existing facilities. We're making safety upgrades and facility refreshes of the 20-year-old Montgomery County Correctional Facility. We're providing funds for a new restorative justice center and a criminal justice center. We have funding for the county radio life cycle replacement project and a new radio tower in Dickerson, where the closing of a power plant is going to require us to relocate an additional tower. We're making investments in the county's FiberNet critical infrastructure, and we have 6 new projects for the Revenue Authority to renovate golf courses, 2 new projects for safety improvements at the Montgomery County Airport Park. Regarding Vision Zero, this budget includes $430 million for improvements to the county's Vision Zero initiative. These include the new Sandy Spring Bikeway project, the new Tuckerman Lane sidewalk project, the new US 29 pedestrian and bicycle project to improve safe access to the flash transit stations there, bicycle pedestrian priority improvements for Veers Mill Road and the Wheaton Central Business District, increased funds for safe routes to school improvements and additional funds for sidewalk and curb replacement. We're doing community requested scope changes for the Dale Drive Sheriff Use Path and the Fenton Street cycle track projects. And there's more money for guardrails, traffic signals, traffic calming, street lighting improvements in the bikeways, intersections, bus stops, and access to schools, parks, and trails. Regarding economic development, we're making strategic investments in public school and transportation facilities that will attract businesses. We're also, and I want to just make this, it's not an investment point at this right now, but working with the University of Maryland system, we've signed an MOU where the university's agreed to bring graduate level research in the life sciences to Montgomery County, something that's been long sought after, and which is going to be a major stimulus for life sciences in this county, and we're looking forward to working with them. On East County, we're making some major investments. We still have our money in the Viva White Oak Life Sciences Mixed Use Development Project. That will go forward when the project proceeds. We're investing further in Flash PRT service that operates on US 29. We have a new project to provide safer pedestrian and bicycle access to US 29 flash stations. And we're funding the planning study for the East County Montgomery College campus. On the White Flint redevelopment, we're continuing to fund and finish the Western Workaround road improvements that'll be completed in FY23 to improve walkability. We have a joint development agreement with WMATA to redevelopment the White Flint North Bethesda Metro Station site as a life sciences hub, which is very encouraging and in conjunction with our agreement with the University of Maryland. This should be another step in bringing more life sciences investment into the county, into the redevelopment of the White Flint area. Other investments in White Flint include the metro station access improvements, a second White Flint Metro Station entrance, which we believe will wind up being incorporated in one of the buildings that'll be part of the redevelopment of the metro site. We have a new fire station, we've got Wall Park, and we're rebranding the White Flint Metro Station to the North Bethesda, which is should occur later this year, we hope. For WSSC, we fully fund the WSSC $2.093 billion request from the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission over the 6-year period. $347 million or 19.9% of this increase is above the prior CIP. Funding for new projects focuses on maintaining and upgrading WSSC's aging infrastructure, and it is truly aging. And it is challenged by the kind of storms that we see now in the county. It also includes money for the I-95, I-27 traffic relief plan pipeline relocations, which are being required by the governor's I-95-270 traffic relief plan. And this $182 million appears to be coming from the state. And if that's the case, it actually means that taxpayers are paying for these improvements, not the transit company. For parks and planning, we have $254.5 million for the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission over a 6-year period, 14.9 million or 6.2% increase over the prior approved CIP. We've added $8.8 million for stream restoration projects to improve water quality throughout the county for a $14.5 million total. And we've actually increased cooperation between our Department of Environmental Protection and Park and Planning to get these projects done. We have new Long Branch Parks Initiative facility planning funding, and we have a partnership to redevelop the Farm Women's Market property and nearby parking facilities. The redevelopment will include new housing, retail space, outdoor park space, and underground parking. So that kind of brings us to the end of the highlights of this budget. I want to say that I want to thank our Office of Management and Budget, along with all of our departments who worked very hard on this recommended capital budget. I want to thank the members of the Board of Education, the Montgomery College trustees, the Planning Board, WSSC, and the HSC commissioners for their contributions. I look forward to working with the council on these recommendations and on further recommendations relating to current revenue and other CIP initiatives that will be provided once we finalize our FY23 operating budget recommendations, which do get transmitted on March 15th. As President Obama once said, the budget is more than just a series of numbers on a page. It is an embodiment of our values. Excuse me. This recommended CIP budget is a reflection of who we are and what we care about. We've worked hard to recommend a capital budget that helps our diverse communities and residents to reflect our county's culture of compassion, commitment to equity, and a resolve to make a better tomorrow for everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Now we'll open the floor up for questions from reporters. Reporters, if you have any questions, please list them in the chat along with your news organization. And we have folks here available to answer any questions that you may have. Last call for questions. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. No questions, so I'll hand it back over to either the county executive or Jennifer to close us out.
So again, thank you all for coming. I hope you don't have questions because you're feverishly looking over the printed material that you've got. Look forward to further questions. You know how to find us. We're always open to talking about the work we're doing. And if we can clarify anything and be of help going forward, please let us know. Thank you.